I am really blessed this afternoon to be joined by a lovely lady named Jamara Gonzalez, who is the founder of Magic Carpet Shuttle and Tours. Welcome. How are you?
Fantastic, Ken. I'm honored to be on the show today, so thank you.
Talk to me about how you built out your processes and built out your tech. Your website is very tech enabled.
Thank you. So in 2024, I used to listen a lot to a podcast called the Thrivetime Show with Clay Clark. He's out
Say
of
that
Tulsa,
again, please.
Oklahoma. Thrivetime Show,
Yep.
business podcast. Clay Clark, shout out, amazing. The amount of resources he would give away for free that
Yep.
were through his website, on the
Mhm.
podcast. So I spent about 2 years listening to him.
Yep.
And finally, I told my husband, I was like, I've got to go to the in-person business conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So June 2024, I fly to Tulsa all by myself because I knew that I am ready to be able to take this to the next level. And remember, in 2024, we ended the year with $250,000 in
Mhm.
revenue. But
Mhm.
when I was flying into Tulsa, we only had $63,000 in revenue on the books. So by the end of that conference, I hired Clay to be my business coach, and we spent the next year working together. And I think that was a huge pivot for me and for my business to be able to create the repeatable systems and to be able to continue to strengthen all the marketing relationships that I
So
have.
talk about that. 23, you were 250,000.
Nope, 23, I did 80,000.
80,000. Okay. And so talk to me about the impact of the coach, and then let's unpack that a little bit.
It's invaluable to be able to invest in yourself. I think in many industries, people don't realize the importance of being able to full time. Essentially, you can be able to learn from somebody else who's been there, who's done that, and a business coach who's worked with thousands of people in different industries. You know, I'll be honest, it was probably a handful of takeaways that I got from my training with Clay that have been able to accelerate my business.
So quantify the dollars.
Hundreds of thousands. And I probably spent 25,000 on coaching, and it's turned into hundreds of thousands.
We're going to talk about how supportive your husband is in a second, but it basically, you tripled your revenue from the previous year, and you still only had one sprinter.
Only one sprinter.
My name is Jamara Gonzalez, and I'm with Magic Carpet Shuttle and Tours. I have been a longtime listener of the show, along with my husband. You know, we really love everything you do, super encouraging, and I appreciate the website that you have with all the resources. But eventually, you know, I felt like I was at a point in my business where I knew I could do more. And so I booked the ticket out to Tulsa from San Diego, and I came out to a conference, and it was truly life-changing.
What kind of growth have you had this year?
24, we're up 24% from last year. So we already beat what we did last year, and we're 24% above that. So it's really exciting.
Now that we've worked with you for a while, there's somebody watching today's show who's thinking about scheduling a free 13-point assessment at thrivetimeshow.com. They're thinking about coming to one of our in-person workshops. They know the tickets for the workshops are $250 or whatever they can afford. They know that occasionally we bring people like Tim Tebow or Eric Trump to come speak, but they're kind of going, I'm on the fence. What would you say, or maybe how would you describe your experience of working with our team so far?
Life-changing. When I decided to go to the conference, they couldn't take my money fast enough. I felt honored to be able to have the opportunity. And once I came, I left on fire. Having been able to work with you all for the last 9 months has transformed my business, has helped me personally to be able to track more things in my life and to really be able to, you know, measure what I treasure, as you say. And I'm just so excited for what's to come. So I would definitely just not delay. Schedule the call, book a ticket, come to the conference, and see all the fun that Clay has for you. You're a good fit if you like to follow processes or create, you know, see your success in a measured way. If you're diligent, if you actually will do what you're being advised to do. If you do not, like if you have a personal trainer, but you don't follow what they say, you're not a good fit, because every week they're going to ask you again. If we said, hey, we're working on this over this next week it's like, well, how did this go? oh, I didn't get to it. Da, da, da. Next week, how did this go? It doesn't just go away. So if you're not a person who likes to be held accountable, this isn't for you. But if you're ready to take your business to the next level, I would definitely call in.
Now, folks, I encourage everyone to check out her website. And just so we're clear, if everybody visits the website, ridemagicshuttle.com, it does actually increase the search engine rank for our wonderful clients if you get a chance to go to the website and share that link. So if you can, I would encourage you to go to ridemagicshuttle.com, copy the link and share it in the air everywhere. Maybe share with a friend or family member what you learned on today's show and check it out. That's ridemagicshuttle.com, ridemagicshuttle.com. Jamara, I really do appreciate your time, your energy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Clay.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, folks, on today's show, I want to tell you a success story about a real client that we really work with. You might think, is this a model? No, she's not a model. Someone says, is this an AI-generated model? No, this is a real human, and I'm super excited for you to hear her success story. And I want to encourage everybody watching today's show that you, too, have the mental capacity and tenacity to have success. And with that being said, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Clay.
So for anybody who wants to verify you're a real person, can you tell us your first and last name and the name of your company?
Yep. My name is Jamara Gonzalez, and I'm with Magic Carpet Shuttle and Tours.
Now, I'm going to pull up your website so people can verify that you're real. And I encourage everyone to go to your website to verify you're real. What's your web address for anybody out there that's wanting to look you up?
RideMagicShuttle.com.
RideMagicShuttle.com. Let me pull it up. RideMagicShuttle.com. And how did you first come in contact with us? Do you remember how you first heard about the Thrivetime Show and the conferences and coaching that we provide?
Yes, I have been a longtime listener of the show along with my husband. You know, we really love everything you do, super encouraging. And I appreciate the website that you have with all the resources. But eventually, you know, I felt like I was at a point in my business where I knew I could do more. And so I booked the ticket out to Tulsa from San Diego, and I came out to a conference, and it was truly life-changing.
Now, if you could describe what the conference was like for you, I'd love to get your thoughts on this because Robert Kiyosaki, who, by the way, will be on part 2 of today's show, he told me, and you'll see this in the part 2 of today's show, it's crazy. He told me, he said, Clay, this is the most interesting conference I've ever been to. And he's like, it was like a spiritual thing for me. He goes, I honestly, I've never been to something like this. And he began to talk about how it was the practical stuff, the practical training and the energy of the attendees and the step-by-step approach. That's what he liked. But other people say they enjoy the people they meet. Some people like the atmosphere. What did you like about the conference, or how would you describe your experience at the conference?
Initially, a zoo, the best zoo possible. You had a huge gorilla outside handing out bananas, and you immediately are like, where am I? This is going to be fun. So for me, it was really great to be able to actually be able to talk with you and share with you about my business and have you give me some one-on-one, advice and some coaching right on the spot, to be able to chat with the speakers, and that all of our questions were put on a board, and you made sure that we didn't leave after the 2 days until those questions were answered. That was amazing.
Now, we do a 30-minute teaching. We do 30 minutes of teaching and then 15 minutes of Q&A. So it's kind of 30 minutes of teaching, 30 minutes of class, 30 minutes of teaching, and then 15 minutes of question and answer. Then we take a break. And I do that, and people who've been to our conferences tell me that they like that because it keeps it fresh. And if maybe they're not super into a certain subject or a certain speaker, they can kind of, endure it for 30 minutes. How would you describe the idea of a 30-minute teaching and then a 15-minute Q&A, question and answer session?
Kept it very practical, kept it moving very quickly, but not too fast, right? Where you're able to gather, you're able to take your notes and really kind of absorb those different items that you were touching upon.
Did you laugh at all at the conference? Did you have fun at the conference?
I had a blast, honestly. And I went to the conference all by myself. So, one of 400 people. I'm a slight extrovert. I felt a little bit introverted because there was so much going on, but I walked out of there with my soul very full and my brain ready to, go take off.
Now, in terms of, business coaching one-on-one, just so people can understand, there's a lot of life coaching programs, and I'm not attacking those. There's a lot of life coaching programs. That's not what we do. We focus on is actually growing companies. And Carter, who's your implementer and coach who works with you, he was telling me that I believe you've grown by more than 20% this year. Maybe that number's incorrect. Maybe it's too low, too high. What kind of growth have you had this year?
24. We're up 24% from last year. So we already beat what we did last year, and we're 24% above that. So it's really exciting.
In terms of projections, when you see the leads coming in, because obviously you're tracking, year over year, month over month, do you have any projections? Do you think you'll end the year at 24% over, or does it look like you're picking up momentum, or how would you describe kind of lead flow and how that's looking for you?
I'm shooting for the moon. I am hoping that we end up 150% year over year. I've got some big goals for us.
Okay. And you're putting in the work. Now I'm going to get into the linear stuff here now. So again, it's magic or ridemagicshuttle.com, ridemagicshuttle.com. As I pull up my notes, could you tell me about the services that you guys provide at ridemagicshuttle.com, just so people again can know about your service? And maybe there's somebody watching in the San Diego area that could actually use your services. Tell us about what you guys do at ridemagicshuttle.com.
Absolutely. So we provide concierge style transportation services. So when someone's planning an event, many a times they don't even know where to start when it comes to the transportation piece of it. Not a lot of resources out there. So we basically hold our clients' hand to the capacity that they need to be able to really understand what they need and how we can help to make their event successful. Providing them that personalized service, we really take things above and beyond. Like, for example, this weekend, we had a large wedding with 3 days worth of festivities, lots of different vehicles, different time frames. And so for that event, we added an event manager because we wanted to ensure not only did they have the proper transportation, but also they had somebody there ensuring that every bus was going where it needed to go. And our clients they couldn't be more happy.
And I mean this sincerely. Before meeting you, one of the businesses that I was involved in many, many years ago was one of America's largest wedding entertainment companies. And so I have a unique appreciation for logistics, because we used to do 4,000 weddings a year. And I haven't owned that company since 2007, but I mean, 4,000 weddings a year. And virtually everybody that operated in the shuttle space really did a bad job. I mean, a lot of people that I worked with were just really doing a bad job. And when I heard your passion for what you do and your attention to detail, I saw right away that's a huge need that people have, especially with your desire to wow the customers. Is there anything else you want to share about your particular business before we get into the details of how to grow the business? Any particulars about what separates you from your competition?
Yeah. I'm just going to say that we care a lot more than everybody else. Like you said, the industry kind of has a bad rap, and every day we work hard to be able to unravel that for other people and show them what we do here.
It is so awesome. It is so awesome. I'm going to pull this up real quick here. Now, folks, these are the steps that we're going through with the coaching program and helping Jamara grow her company. And I want to brag on her. She's putting in the work. So step number one, if you're taking notes, is you got to know your revenue goals. I'm not asking for you to share publicly what your revenue goals are, but I am asking, why is it important for you to know your revenue goals as a business owner?
I really do feel like when you have your goals super clear, you mentally and then attract it and then you go after it. It's almost like, the laws of attraction. I really feel like when I am super clear, it's almost like we're making it happen every single week.
Now, for anybody out there that says, what are you saying? I want to be very clear. I happen to be a Christian, and so one of the things I do as a Christian is I have certain Bible verses that matter a lot to me. So Matthew 5:10 from the Bible, it says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for they shall inherit the kingdom of heaven." I keep that verse printed out near me because every time something bad happens to a good person, it helps me resolve that in my mind. And if you're a business owner, just having the clarity of what am I doing? What are my goals today? That is so powerful. Step number two, determine your break-even numbers. Again, I'm asking you to share the numbers, but why is it important for you to know your break-even numbers and how much stuff you have to sell just to pay the bills?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you could be working very hard and not really making money if you don't understand what you actually need to be able to break even. And, the goal of this is to make money, not just, it's not a hobby. So
there it is. It's so important for somebody to write that down. And step number three, you got to define the hours per week that you're willing to work. In your space, you're going to work a lot of nights and weekends. I used to work nights and weekends. In fact, when my wife and I got married, it occurred to me at one point because she brought it up in a nice, intense fellowship kind of way. She was like, every Friday, every Saturday, every Sunday, every Valentine's Day, every Christmas Eve, everything, every New Year's Eve, you've DJ'd. And I'm going, this is true. So let's talk about the hours and maybe you, because your husband owns a business, you own a business. Mm-hmm. Why is it important that you and your husband are on the same page about your current schedule and what you're trying to move towards?
Absolutely. When you're very clear on your goals and you're working as a team, you're tag teaming. So this weekend I'm on, right? I'm working this huge event and he's with the family and he's making sure that everything is taken care of there and vice versa. So I do work throughout the week. And when I have these big events during the weekend, maybe I'll take a little bit of time during the week to maybe get a little bit of rest and then be able to be recharged and ready to take action.
Folks, I'm telling you, Jamara is a great lady, a great person. She's doing it. You can do it too. Step number 4, you have to define your unique value proposition. And one thing that you guys have done, and I'm just bragging on you because it's true, you guys are now Temecula's highest rated event transportation service. I mean, you guys are praised and used by. You've become the basically the logistics / transportation solution for many huge organizations and very beautiful venues out there in the San Diego area, the Westin, the Palamesa. I mean, you talk about the again, these are venues that if you're not from the area, maybe you don't know, but the Sheraton, these are the Hilton Garden Inn. I mean, these are places that call you, they use you, they work with you all the time. But it's important for somebody, if you're watching today's show, everybody, we have to know what's going to set us apart in the marketplace. Why was that important for you to document your success stories and gather reviews from real customers and document some of the people that you work with?
Well, because clients really are going to Google and checking to see, for everything. Recently, I helped a gentleman and he came referred through a venue. And at the end of the transaction, once we got everything sorted for him for his wedding, he says, "Wow, you really are good." And that said to me, he probably had read some reviews that said, Jamara does a good job. So I think that's really critical.
Now, the next step is branding, and some people think that branding is where it's like the final step or the final thing, but it's not. It's really the beginning. Branding is just what the perception people have when they find you. And we've worked with you to optimize your website. And can you speak to maybe the value of having a coach that also helps you with the website? Because I think a lot of coaching services are wonderful and they do great things, but when we charge you a flat rate of $1,700 a month, we also do the web development and a lot of the nitty gritty behind the scenes. Could you maybe talk about the impact that's made on your company?
It's a complete relief. I'll be really honest with you. I get to work on the things that I feel like move the needle on my end, and I don't have to figure out search engine optimization. I don't have to figure out how to add this to my sitemap and how to do, all these things that are not in my genius zone, as they say.
Now, you have to come up with a 3-legged marketing stool. No matter what business you have out there, you have to have a way that you market to your customers that is sustainable and turnkey. What am I saying? Sustainable and turnkey. As an example of what not to do, you could go door to door and knock on every single door in San Diego. You could do that. And eventually you might sell something, but that's not the highest and best use of your time. So we've developed a 3-legged marketing stool, a turnkey process that works. And the more you work it, the more the success comes out. Could you talk about maybe the mind freedom that provides you of knowing, hey, there's 3 things I got to do on my marketing, not 400 things?
Yeah, that complete clarity of knowing, hey, this is what you need to do because this is what works. It's very easy to have the list of 100 items and work a little bit on each of them. Well, nothing's going to happen. But when okay, Dream 100, your Google reviews, and to be able to work on the SEO for us, that's been critical.
Now, the next part is going to bother 80% of our listeners right now, but I'm going to tell the story. It's step number 7. It's creating a sales conversion system. Now, years ago, about 10 years ago, one of my longtime clients, he says to me, "Clay, I'm getting a lot of leads and I'm not closing anything." And I said, "We got to install call recording. We have to install call recording." And he says, "Okay, let's do it." Well, we found out his own dad unintentionally was sabotaging his company. And you go, "What?" His dad would say, "Thank you for calling Yada Yada Auto Repair. How are you?" And you'd say, "I'm looking to get my car repaired. Can I bring it by today?" And, "It's on the website." And then they'd go, "Well, I mean, did I bring it by? Do you pick it up? What's your process?" "It's on the website, ma'am. Ma'am, it is on the website." And he would almost be belligerently angry with people. And so my client goes and talks to his father. He says, "Dad, I'm listening to the calls and it sounds like you're yelling at people." He said, "Well, people today just need to pay attention." And he's like, "Dad, people aren't calling for a life coaching session." He's like, "Well, I'll tell you." And so what was happening was his father's personality was impacting the business. Another example, one of my employees, God bless him, was a great guy when I was in the room. And when I left the room, he was a drifter. A dentist. There's a dentist I'm working with right now. And we found out his front desk lady is doing 100% of nothing. And so by just recording the calls. So
Yeah.
I'm not looking to throw specific people under the bus, but I just want to get your thoughts on the clarity it gives you as a business owner when you install scripts and call recording.
Well, when that allows you to grow, it allows it to be not just you who's the only person who can make calls to Dream 100 to clients. I'll give an example. So I have one person who helps me with sales. And so what I like to do is we listen to each other's calls because I want her to hear my call as well. And from her, we listened to her call, it was good, but then we listened to my call and she saw all the anecdotes and different things I was able to add because I was more familiar with the venues. And immediately she picked up and said, oh, wow, I do need to learn a little bit more about X, Y, and Z. And that provided me a training opportunity to create an additional resource to give her that information, because then I realized, okay, I'm missing something. So it's a great learning opportunity for everyone.
It's so powerful. I mean, think about it, folks. For the women out there watching today's show, you wouldn't put on makeup without a mirror, right? You want to see how if you're a basketball player, you're not going to, after a game in the NBA or a game in the NFL, the coach doesn't just tell people in general terms, hey guys, we could do better. We should be playing better. No, they watch game film. And no matter what business you're in, you need to analyze your results. If you work in a bakery, you look at the final product, you compare, you do taste testing. If you're a pilot, they track. If you're a pilot, for any of our listeners out there who are pilots, I've worked with quite a few pilots. Everything is tracked, all the metrics. And so people can analyze and say, hey, that landing was a little bit rough. Hey, this is the different approach you should have used. So everybody out there, we've got to have some way to reflect on what we're doing and ask how we can do it better or how our team can do it better. Step number 9, you got to create repeatable systems. Step number 8 was you have to determine your sustainable customer acquisition costs. Basically, how much does it cost you to get a new customer? But step number 9, you've got to create repeatable systems, processes for everything. And in your business specifically, I mean, you're one of the most organized people I've ever met, and you're becoming even more organized because you're building an organization. Can you talk about that, about the importance of having systems and documents for everything?
Well, that as a business owner helps provide so much clarity for me. It honestly gives me a little bit more peace in my head because I understand that, hey, okay, so we're documenting what are the processes, we're creating checklists so that way everyone knows what needs to be done, and it makes it a little bit harder to miss something versus if you're just doing it off the fly every time, you might forget to ask for this one thing, or if you don't follow the script, you might forget to ask for the date of the wedding. Happens.
I'm telling you, folks, this is the kind of stuff it's the stuff behind the stuff. I don't think you're going to find a lot of people talking about, wow, how do I build a checklist? But that's what matters. I don't think a lot of people say, well, how do I get my employees to show up on time? But that's what matters. Step number 11, we teach our clients how to build a repetitive weekly schedule. Step number 10, we teach you how to manage people. Step number 10, how do you manage people? We teach you how to manage people. Step number 11, how to create a sustainable schedule that works for your life and your family. Step number 12, how to hire and inspire, train and retain good people. Eventually, once you start generating more business, now you need to hire more people, and we teach you how to do that. Step 13, we got to look at the numbers. We've got to track. Can you talk about that for a second? I always tell people you have to measure what you treasure and you slack where you don't track. What kind of impact has it made on your business just tracking the results diligently every week?
100% difference. You're able to go back. It's easier to spot, if there's gaps, what's going on here. We had a few weeks where you could easily see that the conversion rate had dropped. So immediately I stepped in and said, hey, how do we figure this out? We need to solve this problem. But if you're not tracking, then it's everything like how you feel. I feel like we're not closing a lot. It's like, well, what is actually happening?
Now, final question I have here for you is, step 14 of our system is we want to help people optimize their life. What's the point of achieving success? You want to have success with your faith, your family, your finances, fitness, friendship, fun. There's someone watching this show. You are on top of the fitness, but your business is not doing well. Somebody out there, you're on top of your faith, but your finances aren't doing well. Somebody out there, you are the best dad in the world, but you're not making any money. And it's tough to be successful in all those 7 areas: faith, family, finances, fitness, friendship, fun, focused attention. Nobody's perfect, but that's the goal, to optimize that. But I want to get your take on this. Now that we've worked with you for a while, there's somebody watching today's show who's thinking about scheduling a free 13-point assessment at thrivetimeshow.com. They're thinking about coming to one of our in-person workshops. They know the tickets for the workshops are $250 or whatever they can afford. They know that occasionally we bring people like Tim Tebow or Eric Trump to come speak, but they're kind of going, I'm on the fence. What would you say, or maybe how would you describe your experience of working with our team so far?
Life changing. When I decided to go to the conference, they couldn't take my money fast enough. I felt honored to be able to have the opportunity. And once I came, I left on fire. Having been able to work with you all for the last 9 months has transformed my business, has helped me personally to be able to track more things in my life and to really be able to, measure what I treasure, as you say. And I'm just so excited for what's to come. So I would definitely just not delay, schedule the call, book a ticket, come to the conference, and see all the fun that Clay has for you.
Now, my final question, my final sneaky bonus question, my extra bonus question for you is for somebody who's watching this, who's a good fit and who's not a good fit? Like, who's a good fit and who's not a good fit for what we do?
You're a good fit if you like to follow processes or create, see your success in a measured way. If you're diligent, if you actually will do what you're being advised to do. If you do not, like if you have a personal trainer, but you don't follow what they say, you're not a good fit, because every week they're going to ask you again. If we said, hey, we're working on this over this next week it's like, well, how did this go? Oh, I didn't get to it. Da, da, da. Next week, how did this go? It doesn't just go away. So if you're not a person who likes to be held accountable, this isn't for you. But if you're ready to take your business to the next level, I would definitely call in.
Now, folks, I encourage everyone to check out her website. And just so we're clear, if everybody visits the website, ridemagicshuttle.com, it does actually increase the search engine rank for our wonderful clients if you get a chance to go to the website and share that link. So if you can, I would encourage you to go to ridemagicshuttle.com, copy the link and share it in the air everywhere. Maybe share with a friend or family member what you learned on today's show, and check it out. That's ridemagicshuttle.com, ridemagicshuttle.com. Jamara, I really do appreciate your time, your energy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Clay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Katie Stein. I'm getting married on October 3rd, 2025. I heard about Magic Carpet through my venue, through Wedgwood Weddings, and I've already used her for my wedding dress shopping. I said yes to the dress, and I'm having the best day of my life. So definitely go with my girl Jamara through Magic Carpet, and you will have the best time of your life. Cheers!
My name is Megan Thomas. We found Magic Carpet on Google, and they have been absolutely phenomenal. They took the best care of us. Highly recommend.
All right, I'm Hannah. I'm the bride. I heard about Magic Carpet from our venue. They were recommended, and it's been a great experience working with them. Super easy communication and setup, and wedding day is finally here, so I couldn't be happier.
We are here for Kaylee and Nate's wedding. We heard about this amazing service through Grand Tradition, and you guys are awesome, and all of our girls had an amazing time.
My name is Kimberly. I found out about Magic Carpet Ride at the Bridal Bazaar, one of the functions at Fallbrook, and so far, so good. Very good communication, good rates. We're gonna have a good night, and I love them. Cheers!
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called DJconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. You know, this is the creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed, and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's what was on Clay, this technology. You tell your group, I was so impressed. Because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So, Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about, is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
Well, I'll say this. First off, it's beyond an honor to be on your show. And I've been buying gold specifically since 2005 when it was $450 an ounce because of you. And now the price of gold is over $3,400. Who knows what it's going to be when the show comes out. So again, I mean, I can't thank you enough for helping me increase my net worth by 7-fold, 8-fold. Second thing is your books have made such an impact on my life. And for anybody who doesn't have your books, I recommend that you read these books. But what happens is it's not about knowledge. It's about the application of knowledge. So Napoleon Hill, the best-selling author of the book called Think and Grow Rich, he said that action is the real measure of intelligence. And so when I read your books, I was also reading Napoleon Hill. That's why my son's name is Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. I named my son after Napoleon Hill. And I'm going, in this book, there's great potential power, but knowledge without application is meaningless. And so I started, Robert, a DJ company, which I haven't owned in over 15 years, called DJconnection.com. And we were doing 4,000 weddings a year, 4,000 weddings a year. That's 80 weddings every weekend. And people kept saying, can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? And so this was the pitch I told people. I said, here's the deal. You cannot pick my brain, but I will charge you some fee that you can pay on a monthly basis. And I just want a small percentage of your growth. And they go, huh? I go, just a small percentage of your growth, because that makes it worth it, my time and your time and the whole thing. And then eventually, Robert, I got to 160 clients, and I thought to myself, that's a lot of partners, a lot of clients. I know what I'll do. Let's just start having conferences. And so this is my 20th year having these conferences. And I think why people come at 5 in the morning is because when they go to thrivetimeshow.com, they see over 2,000 documented case studies of real people on video that say, hey, my name is Aaron Antis, and I've grown my company from 14 million to 150 million. And people go, what? And people say, hi, my name is Lindsay Blankenship, and I was a startup, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company called Revitalize Medical Spa. And people go, hi, I'm the founder of OxyFresh. I now have 500 locations. And people go, 500 locations? And so, Robert, I guess the answer is I have a very low turnover program with 160 longtime clients, very limited availability. And it works, and people want to apply what they're learning. And so that's why it was such an honor to have you, because you're the master of application. And you and Tom Wheelwright, you guys broke down the biggest expense that every entrepreneur faces, which is taxes. And you made it very practical, very tactical. And it was an honor to have you and Eric Trump there. And now that Eric Trump comes to all of our business conferences, I said, we've got to get Robert Kiyosaki in the house. So again, thank you for lowering your standards and joining me, sir.
Lowering my standards. I just want to let everybody know you have a how many acres do you have out there? You have your house. You have this I call it an amphitheater. And that's really an amphitheater, but it's an auditorium that you built on your property. And like I said, your parking lot fills up at 5 o'clock in the morning. How come you guys are on fire in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Well, you know, what's wild too, Robert, is, probably 95% of my clients are not from Oklahoma. So what happens is I tell people, look, hey, we have limited availability. We're going to have 300 people at this conference. And I keep the attendance small. And I say, listen, if you're not wanting to grow your company, if you're just coming because you want to get a photo with a celebrity and you like fog machines and you like skinny jeans and fancy clothes and you like to just pose and get fake influencers to take fake photos with you, don't come. But if you're a real entrepreneur and you're not afraid of giving someone a high five at 5, come to our conferences. And I think that's that's been the filter process. because when you study the lives of multimillionaires, I mean, over the years, I've interviewed the founder of Square, I've interviewed the founder of Netflix, I've interviewed Wolfgang Puck, guys like yourself. When I interview people like Eric Trump, they all wake up at 6 a.m. or before. You just don't see super successful people that are waking up at noon. And so it's sort of a filter process. And because, Robert, I've been doing it for 20 years, you're pretty much now surrounded by only high quality, get her done people that love to study and do deep work. And I say deep work. What's deep work? You once said, I'm quoting it. If I mangle it, I apologize. But there was a quote you said, professionals hire coaches, amateurs do not.
Yeah.
I wrote that down. I wrote that down. I heard you say that the first time well over 15 years ago. I wrote it down. And I thought to myself, why does Michael Jordan have a coach for fitness and Kobe Bryant has a coach? And why don't I have a coach for accounting? So I did what you recommended. I hired a coach to help me with accounting. And I thought about it. I'm going, why don't I have a coach to help me with the legal aspects of my company? And I hired a coach to help me with my accounting. And I still use the same coaches 10 plus years later. But again, there's one thing to hear it, and it flies by. There's another to grab that idea and to apply it. And so how do you find the time to apply these things? I recommend that you wake up, you set your alarm at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. every single day, and you get up and you spend the first 3 hours of your day designing your life. And so I decided this idea. I thought to myself, I would like to have a 40-acre-ish compound / hobby farm where my wife and I and our 5 kids can raise our family and where we can offer the world's best business conference experience. And so I wrote it down. I sketched it. I drew it. I actually have a picture. This is a sketch of what I'm working on in my backyard right now. So I sketched this stuff out. You've been to my backyard. So I sketch it out. And when you came to the conference, I noticed that we were a little bit short on places for people to go. So I sketched out how I want the additions to be. And next time you come back, if I can trick you into coming back, we'll have more additions. And I'm just constantly sketching out my future, ideal in every way possible. And then every day I work towards it.
Well, Clay, it was spiritual. I mean, your people were on fire. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They were like so turned on. And like I said, in my own company, I couldn't get them to read a book. And I fired them. I did. I said, I don't want to hang around people who are just going to cruise along with life because it's not worth it to me. And so that's why I want to talk to you today about what you do. I mean, Pastor, what's his last name?
Jackson Lawmeyer.
Jackson. I mean, even your pastor is on fire. Why don't you tell his story? Because he's got this massive church and all this. Yeah. You guys are on fire out there.
Well, let me give a big shout out to Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer. This is a true story. Your good friend, Donald J. Trump, America's 47th president, selected personally Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer to be one of the 15 pastors who he works with. So you hear about President Trump's Faith Council. You look in the picture, you're going to see a guy under the age of 40. That's Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer. This is a guy, his church is Sheridan.Church. And I know this is not a religious broadcast, but Pastor Jackson is a diligent man who really does believe he's supposed to work as unto the Lord. And President Trump saw him. He caught President Trump's attention. And so he is one of the pastors that President Trump has personally selected to lead America's faith leaders. So when you see President Trump had an Easter meal with the pastors, Pastor Jackson's in that photo. Now, Pastor Jackson is an entrepreneur who has read all of your books. And he's diligently applied the principles that you teach. And he did that because he never wanted to build a church where he was dependent upon donations to be able to pursue his vocation. The word vocation means calling, meaning he never wanted to have to get up in front of a platform and browbeat people for money in order for his church to be solvent. He never wanted to be one of those churches where they spend 90% of the sermon begging you for money. He wanted to be a church where he could focus on teaching the Bible. And he wanted to be self-sustaining. So he, as a young man, true story, he has read your books. He's applied your books. When I told him that you were going to come to our workshop, he lit up like a Christmas tree. He lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. He was so excited. He said, Robert Kiyosaki is coming to Tulsa. And he was just so excited because you, in many ways, have kind of written the business Bible. And so he was on fire to see you. And people say, Clay, how did you meet Eric Trump? Eric Trump and I met through all this nonsense about the lockdowns and the quarantines, and I just refused to lock down. And he and I got to be good friends through that process because he discovered me because I wouldn't lock down and I wouldn't back down, and he liked that kind of energy. And we were comparing schedules, and he says, you wake up at 4 a.m. too? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, I wake up at 4 a.m. He goes, do you work 6 days a week? I said, I do work 6 days a week. He goes, awesome. And he and I became friends, and now we've done, I think, 26 events together or 25 events together. So Robert, Eric Trump is a diligent doer as well, but Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer, I'm telling you, everyone should look him up. He's the future of ministry in America. Check him out at Sheridan.church. That's his website.
Yeah, and what was really interesting about your group, you're all young guys. You know, I'm a boomer, and you guys are on fire. When you come back, I want you to talk about what would you say to people. How do you get that fire? You know, for me, I started to study in Vietnam, and because it kept me alive, it kept my faith going. You know, that at nights before a battle, I've been an aircraft carrier. You know, the rocking of the ship going like this, and I'm not really religious, but I do believe there's a God. And I just sat out there and went, you know, dear God, tomorrow morning, we fly into battle. We're up at 4 o'clock, and we're launching by 6. So, you know, about 25 planes are taking off. And I just wanted to fly with spirit. And that's when I started to learn a lot about exactly what you're saying. It's action. You know, I have my cash flow board game back here, and that came after Maria Montessori, the Montessori school system. And she says, what the hand does, the mind remembers. So when you come back, I want you to talk about what does it take to get somebody's fire going, that they want to come back to life and learn and take part in the greatest. You know, we're in a dangerous economy right now, but it's also the biggest opportunity in the world. And so many people are getting crushed. You know, homelessness is expanding. And so we have a lack of spirit in our country right now. So we come back and we play Clark. And I just want you to talk about getting that fire to learn and study and take part in life. So we'll be right back, Clay. So thank you.
Are you getting richer or poorer? Because right now, the rich are getting richer while everyone else falls behind. Why? Fake money. The government prints trillions of dollars, inflating your savings while the rich move their wealth into gold and silver. Gold is surging, silver is skyrocketing, the smart money isn't waiting, they're getting out of dollars before the next crash. And here's what most people don't know. You can legally move your IRA or 401k into gold and silver, 100% tax and penalty free, with my friends at Priority Gold. This is how the rich shield themselves. They don't save fake dollars, they save real money. So don't wait. Get Priority Gold's free wealth defense guide now and see how to move your savings into something real. Text GOLD to 24999 or go to PriorityGold.com right now. Text GOLD 24999 or visit PriorityGold.com and get your free, no obligation wealth defense guide. Because waiting makes you poorer, taking action makes you rich. The average time to hire for most organizations is 30 to 45 days. Are you tired of the costly and lengthy hiring process? Simplify and speed up your recruitment by using the experts at Express Employment Professionals. Reduce time to hire, cut down on multiple interviews, and lower your recruitment costs. Whether you're looking for contract workers or new team members, our streamlined recruiting, candidate screening, and hiring process is more efficient than hiring on your own. Visit expresspros.com today. Haven't used a staffing company before? We know that you enjoy learning new things and keeping up with trends and efficiencies. Make a change this year with your hiring. Businesses are navigating a landscape that has never been more expensive or regulated. Start at expresspros.com to find the location near you. With more than 860 locally owned offices, you'll get the hiring support that you need at expresspros.com. Rich Dad likes gold. Rich Dad likes Bitcoin. Rich Dad owns both. But right now, Rich Dad believes silver might be the most overlooked opportunity of them all. Here's why. Demand for silver is exploding, used in solar panels, electric vehicles, computers, electric product, weapon systems, medicine, and even water purification. But unlike Bitcoin or gold, silver supply is going down. And best of all, it's still the cheapest. Gold is breaking all-time highs. Bitcoin hitting new records. Silver is still 60% below its all-time high. Why? Silver is useful, and the price has been suppressed for decades to keep it affordable for industry. But Rich Dad believes that manipulation is over, and Rich Dad believes silver's about to slingshot to all-time highs, possibly $70 an ounce in 2025. So if you want to understand what's happening, how to take advantage of it, text the word silver to 24999 and get your free 2025 silver forecast guide from Rich Dad's trusted silver source, Priority Gold. You'll learn what's driving silver and how to buy it smart before the next surge. Again, text silver to 24999 right now to claim your free 2025 silver forecast guide and get ahead before silver takes off.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. My guest today is Clay Clark, and my good friend Tom Wheelwright and I traveled to Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit Clay, as long as my other friend Eric Trump and his father and I are good friends, wrote this book together called Midas Touch. And we're talking about the word study, because when I went out to Clay Clark's place in Tulsa, he has a compound out there. I mean, it's a huge estate. And he had this huge auditorium that he's built. And he had hundreds of people there at 5 o'clock in the morning to study. And, you know, it was almost a worship. I looked at it and said, this is a church or what? But you guys have made learning a religion. And that's what I wanted to have you on the Rich Dad Radio Show for, Clark, because the people around you are impressive. I was so in awe, humbled, and honored. I mean, there's such good people, but they came to you to study, and Pastor Jackson and all you young guys out there. And then I go around, like I said, I had to let go of my company because they refuse to study. I study every single day. It's a religion to me. I don't mean I study religious things, but I study every single day. I was just out in the South Pacific, you know, looking at the World War II sites, you know, like Iwo Jima and Palau and Okinawa. And the guy I met there was getting about your age. And this guy studies. This whole group studies. They're multi-millionaires on that trip. So how do you get people so turned on, Clay? I mean, you do it in mass.
Let's say this real quick. I'm going to give people a spiritual answer, not a religious one, a spiritual answer that I'll get really specific. So what I do is the Hebrew word work means worship. So if you look up the Hebrew word, the word work means worship, and worship means work. I happen to identify as a Christian. If you're watching and you don't, that's fine. But I believe I'm supposed to work as unto the Lord. And the word work means worship. Think about it, folks. In Hebrew, the word work means worship, and worship means work. So when I'm worshiping, if I claim to be a Christian, I'm working as unto the Lord and not as unto human masters. So I am over-delivering because I know it will cause me to eventually be overpaid. I am filling the room with confidence because I have confided in myself. I've confided in myself during this instance that I'm doing what God wants me to do. I know that this is the day that the Lord has made, but what I do with that day is my gift to God. Every day that I have is a gift from God, and what I do with it is a gift to God. So that's how I get myself fired up. Now, as far as specifics for other people, I say, listen, you're at this conference, you're watching this show, you're interacting with me right now, and time is your most important asset. Time is your most valuable asset. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. I tell people, look, I grew up poor. I worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV simultaneously en route to building my empire or whatever this compound is. But everybody out there, what you want to do is think about your life perfect in every respect. Where do you want to be 18 months from now? Where do you want to be 18 months from now? Everybody watching today's show, write it down. Where do you want to be 18 months from now? And then we have to go SMART, SMART goals. We have to set specific goals. What are our specific steps we need to take daily to get up that mountain? Measurable. They have to be measurable. They can't be woo-woo. It can't be this pseudo-esoteric, vague cloud of, no, they have to be measurable. Actionable. They have to be actionable. You have to take your big idea and turn it into action steps. Realistic. Your goals have to be realistic, are realistic. And T is time sensitive. We're only going to live once. Life is not a dress rehearsal. So when people go to thrivetimeshow.com and they click on the testimonials button and they go, you know, this guy's been doing the same thing for 20 years. He's a little more pale in person than I thought he would be. I'm surrounded by people that weren't born yesterday that are successful, but people who are young or people who are old. And people start to go, you know what, Robert? If somebody can do it who's old, if someone can do it who's young, if someone can do it who grew up poor, if someone can do it who grew up wealthy, if these people all eliminated their excuses and they decided to transform from victims into victors, perhaps I can do it too. And I think that's what unlocks the excitement is people go, you know what? I'm going to go back to my hometown and I'm going to diligently implement these systems and processes. And then because we've diligently documented these success stories for 20 years, you start to go, and a lot of our longtime listeners will go on the site and they'll say, Clay, you interviewed a mother of 7 named Lindsay Blankenship. Her husband was working 80 hours a week. She's a mother of 7, and her husband started a company pre-COVID, and now it's a massive medical spa. Wow, I don't have any excuses. They go to belovedcheesecakes.com. They see Jennifer, a recently divorced single mom who started a cheesecake factory, and now it's a nationwide success story. People start to say, you know what? I think I can do it because I'm going to eliminate my own excuses. So, Robert, long answer, but hopefully that was specific for you, sir.
No, I love it because, Clay, the reason I want you on my show is not just the mind. You know, we have a body, mind, spirit, and we have emotions. And emotions, you know, when they talk about EQ or this IQ, intelligence, but emotional intelligence. And you touch the spirit, Clark. You know, Clay, you touch their spirits and their fire goes on them. And that's what I want to know, how you do it. And how do people you know, I suggest anybody listening to this, if you live near the Tulsa area, just go visit what you're doing. Because to see your compound, I mean, your home is a mansion. And you open it up to everybody. And you feed everybody. I'm going, my God, your spirit is so on fire. That's what I think is missing in life today, is that spirit. You know, I mean, you're on fire and you've passed it on to your, let's hate to say it, your congregation, but your followers out there, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're turned on and ready to study and learn and get back to work, you know.
Well, you know, Robert, one thing that I do, and this is a visualization exercise, and again, I'm not getting religious, I'm telling you what I do. My father, may he rest in peace, he died of Lou Gehrig's disease approximately 5 years ago, and I had to watch my father suffocate en route to death. It was the worst. I won't choke up on today's show, but I mean, it's just talking about it or thinking about it, it's heavy. I'm saying that because somebody out there watching today's show, it's heavy. It's heavy. And so when I grew up poor, a lot of your listeners grew up poor, and what happens is my dad's delivering pizzas. And he was working, my dad specifically, my father, may he rest in peace, was delivering pizzas for Domino's and working the night shift at a gas station chain called Quick Trip. So my middle school years were spent with my father working 2 jobs to put food on our table, but he had a college degree. AKA he had gone through the Marxist indoctrination camp known as college. And so my father was really, really doing his best to provide for us. And I appreciate him doing that. And I wouldn't criticize anything about my father. He did such a great job trying to provide for us. But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called DJconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and people that parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you got to read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Now, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, I read that. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read that. But then it was up to me, am I going to apply it? And as I began diligently applying these systems and processes, and people kept asking me to help them grow their companies, I've decided mentally, every time I talk to a potential client, I visualize and I picture my father. And I think, what would I tell my father, who my father at the age of 37 was delivering pizzas and working at Quick Trip. So every potential client who goes to thrivetimeshow.com and they schedule a free consultation with me, it might sound weird, it might sound woo-woo, but I in my mind, I picture my father is the person on the other end of the phone. And I think to myself, if I was talking to my father, or someone like my father who's trying to raise kids and he's working 2 jobs despite the degree, what does he need to hear? Maybe not what does he want to hear, but what does he need to hear? And my goal is to kick that person into another gear when we get off that phone call. And so that's what I do. And I think people say, man, Clay, you're filled with enthusiasm, or you have that spirit. The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek word theos, means God. So enthusiasm means God within. So I believe that I am filled with the Holy Spirit, or a spirit of I want to help somebody become successful. And a mentor of mine back in the day, he told me this, a true story, a big mentor, multimillionaire. I said, sir, what is your philosophy towards coaching? He said, Clay, the word charisma used to be spelled with a K. And I said, come again? He said, the Greek word for charisma, it's spelled with a K. It's called charisma, K-A-R-I-S-M-A. It means to lift up, to coach up, to mentor up. That's what charisma means. He said, however, today's version of charisma is now spelled with a C-H, C-H-A-R-I-S-M-A. And now it means a highly motivated individual yelling at you, talking down to you, making you feel inadequate, unable. And so you get coached down or talked down to. He said, your job is to leave people feeling whole and not to leave people feeling full of holes. And I said, what did you just say? He said, your job is to make people feel whole and not to leave feeling full of holes. And so I would just say, everybody watching today's show, if anybody does come to our conferences, Robert, probably 95% of our attendees are not from Oklahoma. And I've always let people name their price. And people say, you let people name their price? I go, yeah. So I always tell people it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. I've got nothing to upsell you. But when people see that you're actually trying to give them a hand up, not a hand out, people respond and people gain that enthusiasm. And I believe that courage and enthusiasm is contagious, Robert.
Well, I tell you what, Clay, can you tell people how they get in touch with you? What you just said is important. I think it's important people come and spend, time to look at your work, what you have done. I mean, you're not just talking, and to come and associate with your, I use the word congregation, but your followers, because they're on fire. And we're going into a very rough economic time, as you know. Our debt's gone out of sight. That's why gold is making you rich, and silver and Bitcoin. But people need the fire. So how do people get in touch with Clay Clark, and what will they have to do to come and visit you and get a sense of what you're doing and carry that out into the world?
Well, first off, Eric Trump asked me the first time I did this, he goes, are you actually giving out your cell phone number? This is my cell phone number. And anybody out there with a sound mind who is a sincere person, you can text me to request tickets to our events. That's 918-851-0102. This is the same cell phone number my wife texts me on, the same one Eric Trump texts me on. That's my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. Or you can go to thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com, and you might say, why would you give out your cell phone number? I do it because I get to meet some of the most fantastic people ever. One of the world's best-selling authors texted me the other day, and I said, is this you? And he goes, is it you? We had an NBA player who's currently playing in the playoffs text me the other day and goes, dude, I love your podcast. Is this you? So it's a great way for me to connect. It sort of breaks the industrial complex and it freaks people out. But that's my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. Or you can go to thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com. And if you want to listen to my podcast, I recommend you go to Spotify and do a search for the Thrive Time Show on Spotify. That's the Thrive Time Show on Spotify.
THRIVE time show. Thrive.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Time. So because what you have is the fire, and you packaged it, you deliver it, and you turn your people on. Like I said, the hardest times of my life was just sitting on that aircraft carrier going, the fear is intense flying into combat. And how do you overcome that fear, the paralysis, the sadness about it? We did a job that nobody really wanted to do. We got spit on when we came home, hit with eggs and, called baby killers. But that actually built strength.
Sir, one thing I wanted to share with you, and again, with the limited time we have here, and I mean this sincerely, I am in awe of, I am inspired by the men and women who've served our country. I get to focus on, problems like, how do I teach my kids how to become successful, or how can I teach entrepreneurs? But none of that matters if you don't have freedom. And so on behalf of me and all the entrepreneurs out there that have frankly been living in this great country because of the sacrifices of you and anybody watching today's show who's ever served in the military, I just want to say, thank you so much for repeatedly putting your life in harm's way and for doing a job that nobody else wanted to do. And then I want to issue an apology to you on behalf of anybody that spit on you or said negative things about you in ignorance, because you really did stand up and fight for our country. And it's just an honor to know you, to call you friend. And thank you for the service you and anybody else watching today's show who's ever served in our military. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you, Clark. Really, Clay. I mean, like my good friend's name is Clark, so I call you Clark. Anyway, Clay, so thank you very much. And it's thrivetimeshow.com. I wanted you on my program to let people know that you're for real out there. And, take the time to go visit your work, worship and work. But when you see your house and the people and 5 o'clock in the morning, it's inspiring, inspirato. So congratulations, Clay. You're doing a fantastic job. Tell your people out there, I was so impressed with them because of their fire, their spirit. They're wanting to learn and to go and serve the world out there. So congratulations, Clay, for your great work out there.
Thank you, brother. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. It was a highlight of my life having you come to Tulsa. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. I'll be back, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we come back, we'll have final words from the Rich Dad Show. And I want to, again, thank Clay Clark. It's thrivetimeshow.com. Please, if you have the time, go visit him in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's worth the trip. Thank you, Clay. Welcome back. Again, I want to thank Clay Clark, and Thrive Time. And if you have a chance, please go visit him, spend a week out there. Because the reason I like the cash flow game, it requires 4 intelligences to win the game: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And I've had my lows. I mean, I've been so down. I didn't come close to committing suicide, but suicide would have been a great way out because I lost everything. I've lost everything twice. And so the thing that brings you back is your spirit, your soul. And so that's why I want to thank, Clay Clark for what he's doing, because he's putting people on fire. And I've had to fire people because they don't want to study. They just want the money. And the world's changing way too fast today to be stupid. There's a difference between being stupid and being ignorant. Ignorant is when you ignore. You say, oh, well, things will be the same. I'm going to make it. And that's our academic system. What a socialist is socialism works for people who don't work. So we're encouraging people not to work. People are going to college and getting deeply in financial debt. And they're coming out of school having no skills. They learn things like underwater basket weaving or something like that. Our education system has lost its soul. So that's why I speak. That's why the Rich Dad Radio Show. And that's why I was so thrilled to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit Clay Clark with Eric Trump, who is a fabulous, fabulous young man. His brother, John Jr. Don Jr. and I are really good friends, and his father's doing a fabulous job with Elon Musk. And we're fighting for the soul of our country right now, because if we don't, the Marxists take over. The Marxists are an academic system. They believe in giving people money for free, defund the police, making sex changes, and that they shut down USAID, and there was USAID, which is a government agency, was sending money to Hamas and Hezbollah. I hate what has happened to this country. So let's fight back. I'm not favoring America, but I'm favoring let's have peace and prosperity throughout the world. And it's going to take all of us having strong minds, bodies, and spirits. Thank you very much for watching Rich Dad Show. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. People rave about what they learn from you. So congratulations. Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Well, it's ESBI. You can always tell an employee by their words. I'm not really religious, but in the Bible it says the word becomes flesh. So employees always say the same words. I want a safe, secure job with benefits. And an S, a small business person says, If you want it done right, do it by yourself. And then the B entrepreneur says, I'm looking for the best team. They want a team behind them. And the I is an investor, but it's an insider investor. And people say, well, inside investment's illegal. I said, no, it's just how close to the inside are you? So when I invest, I don't own any stocks or bonds or mutual funds because that's for outside investors. I want to be part of the deal. So my goal, you can see back here's my cash flow board game. My goal was to take 3 companies public on Toronto Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, and NASDAQ. So I got Toronto and New York Stock Exchange public, and I'm going to take my NASDAQ company public this summer.
Now, Robert, I got to ask you this. You know, the cash flow quadrant was the obviously in your book. I mean, Rich Dad Guide to Investing. I've kind of desecrated this.
Thank you for reading it. I can't believe that you do it worse than I do. Well, I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Oh man, you should see that. I mean, every book that you've written, I highlight this. I've got Post-it notes. People are saying, "What did you do to that book?" But the cash flow quadrant is a big part of your curriculum and of your teaching. What advice would you have for an entrepreneur out there, plumber, doctor, dentist, somebody who's got a business but it's just not growing, they're not gaining traction? What would you say to him, sir?
Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. So you can tell a person whether they're capitalist or communist by their actions.
When did you decide to be the gold buyer guy? Like, when did you decide to, not just think about it and study it and look into the collapse of the dollar? When did you decide, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to start buying gold?
Because as you know, every time they print money, the rich get richer, but the poor and middle class get poorer. So we're printing $1 trillion every 90 days now. So those who own real assets like Wagyu cattle, gold, silver, real estate, oil, we get richer. But what else goes up in price is food, like chicken and eggs. You can't afford eggs today. So every time you print fake money, which is what I saw back when I was 17 years old, when you print fake money, guys like us get richer, but my friends and family get poorer because no financial education in school.
Now, let's drill down into that for a second. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the BRICS nations for 16, almost 17 years, they've been hoarding the Earth's gold. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. These countries are not screwing around. They've been hoarding the Earth's gold in preparation to do what? Well, Putin has announced a great expansion of the BRICS bloc. And now you have, I'm just giving a rough average here, but now you have the majority of the Earth's assets are controlled by these nations that identify with the BRICS bloc. And these countries have a stated goal of introducing a gold-backed programmable currency. I don't think the average person knows that, and I don't think the average person knows that the United States enjoys an incredible privilege as the world's reserve currency since the Bretton Woods Agreement. I don't think people know that. I know that because of your teaching and others, but most people do not know that. So could you maybe articulate or explain, Robert Kiyosaki, for our listeners out there, why do our listeners need to know that Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, those countries are hoarding the Earth's gold and attempting to introduce a new reserve currency?
Because I think it was J.P. Morgan or somebody that said, gold is money, the rest is credit or debt. And gold is the only money there is, according to that's in his theory. So that's why I tell the story of flying behind enemy lines. It's Gresham's law. We know what real money from fake money. But my greatest concern here is this: if we don't make changes in what we teach ourselves and our kids, the poverty in America is going to go through the roof because we're now the biggest debtor nation in the world. And, like what they're teaching us now is DEI. What about teaching us money? And I don't think it's a mistake. That's my concern. It drives me on, because I love my country. 2 tours in Vietnam. But why does our school system not teach us anything about the truth about money? So gold is money. I call it God's money. Gold and silver are God's money, and Bitcoin is people's money. The dollar is fake money. And the more fake money we produce, which we do every day now, the greater the poverty goes up. Inflation wipes out the middle class and poor, but guys like me get richer because I own gold mines. Tragic.
Now, Robert, I want to tie this into your relationship with Eric Trump, because you are coming to our business conference here in March, and Eric Trump speaks so highly about you. I'm working with Eric on his new book, and so I was with him 2 Mondays ago, finalizing some language on the book. And Eric's putting out his first book here at an age where he'll probably be the same age his father was when his father put out The Art of the Deal. So his father Donald J. Trump put out The Art of the Deal at age 41, and Eric is putting together a book at a similar age. So it's really exciting to see him do that. And he speaks super highly of you. Now, Steve, Eric and I have done 25 events together.
Right.
And you were stage side at one of the events.
Mm-hmm.
And I never know what Steve's going to say to people he just met. All I know, I think you told Eric, you said, "Hey, I'm the guy that drives the Lamborghini." Is that what you said to him?
I don't remember exactly what I said, because I was kind of in shock, when you meet somebody like that obviously we all have a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
And but Laura was the icon that night, I think.
Everyone wanted to see Laura.
Yeah, he married up.
Okay, well, I got to ask you. So now that you have met Eric,
yeah,
and Robert is very good friends with the Trump family, what question would you have for Robert Kiyosaki about working with the Trump family, hunting with the Trump family? What question would you have?
Well, I think the perception that a lot of us supporters of them have is that they're just super down to earth, normal guys, which is what I kind of got in my quick meeting with Eric that I have. Can you talk a little bit about that, about like your interactions with them, and what, some people are just a little different when they're on their own, but I would imagine that they're pretty down to earth guys. Is that accurate?
Amen, brother. I go to this private island in Hawaii called Niihau. Get that special permission. We fly in via helicopter. There's no toilets, no running water, nothing. And we go there to hunt. And you get to know people pretty closely when you got no toilets, nothing, and you're sleeping on the outside. We had to catch our own food. And those young boys, young men now, they're such the best young men. I think a story. We're driving to the airport, catch the helicopter on the island of Hawaii to Niihau. And Don Jr. and Eric were talking to their sister. She was dating some guy, I think the guy she married. And they were giving her recipes so she could cook for her future husband. I said, who in the world taught you guys recipes? Our mother. And it goes back to the mother also. So I said, our mother was a strong woman. So anyway, it does take a family. And I think that's what's really quite shocking is the number of single moms raising boys today. It's tragic.
Now, Dr. Z, you do a form of hunting. Some might call it faux hunting, where Robert Kiyosaki, Eric's told me that he actually has been hunting with Robert Kiyosaki on multiple occasions where they're out there for multiple days. They're in a situation where they're kind of removed from the accoutrements of modern life. They're sort of off the grid. Dr. Z, could you share with Robert Kiyosaki here about your approach to hunting? Because I think your approach to hunting is a little bit different.
Well, I'm more of a gentleman hunter, I guess you would say. High fence is kind of my friend, and they don't actually tie the animal to the tree, but it is kind of almost a guaranteed hunt, wink wink, if you know what I mean.
That's awesome.
And then we retire to the fire pit area where we have a cigar and maybe a beverage of your choice.
Some Lagavulin.
Now, real quick, this is what I'm doing. But this is a true story here. Dr. Z, I've listened to an unhealthy amount of Robert Kiyosaki's podcast, and I've spent an unhealthy amount of time with you. And you two guys are so similar. So when Robert comes to the event in Tulsa, I'm having we're organizing a dinner that night for a couple of the speakers. I'm going to make sure you two guys get to know each other, because you are so similar in every checkbox, and you guys are both so excited about teaching success. So I want to go back to this idea of teaching success. There's somebody watching this show right now, and you are in a hypnotic rhythm. Somebody watching, I'm talking to you right now. You're in a hypnotic rhythm where you go to work, you go to church, you go home. I'll repeat. You go to work, you go to church, you go home. Again, you go to work, you go to church, you go home. You're 37. You go to work, you go to church, you go home. You're 52. You go, and there's somebody needs to just wake up. There's something that has to happen. I grew up without money, and Robert Kiyosaki, your book was, my boss, Jeremy Thorne, said, Clay, I'm a 19-year-old working at Faith Highway and Impact Productions. It's a call center. He says, you need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I said, why? He said, because you're going 90 miles an hour in a circular motion. You're like a boat without a rudder. I see the energy you're putting into it. I'm a couple years older than you, and I really think you need to read this book. And just the discipline of knowing, okay, here's the path. I'm going to go from being an employee to self-employed, to being a business owner, to being an investor. That was so freeing for me. And then 2005, meeting with Sean Copeland and Dr. Z and a handful of guys who kept telling me, just save a set percentage of your income. Just save, and just that discipline of take 25% of my income, buy gold, 25% buy real estate from emotional people. That let me know there was a proven path. What do you say to somebody right now who's watching this, Robert Kiyosaki, and then for some reason they've been in that hypnotic rhythm, they've been drifting, which I think is more dangerous than going the wrong way because you don't know how bad it's getting. What do you say to somebody who needs that wake-up call, sir?
Well, you've got to seek teacher. Who are your teachers? Like Dr. Z, I would seek him out. And I sought my rich dad out. And it came from the story of the three wise men. I'm not very religious, but I had to go to Sunday school. And my Sunday school teacher said, why were the three wise men wise? And I said, because they were rich. And she goes, what? I'm 7 years old. They were rich. She goes, why do you say that? I said, one had gold, one had frankincense, and one had myrrh. That's why they were wise. She goes, that's not it. So I said, well, why were they wise? She says, they were seeking the best teacher. And that became a guiding lesson in my life that I've had numerous types of rich dads and rich women, but I want to seek the people who are actually doing it, not theorizing it. So I was in the MBA program. I was sound asleep. And this guy was telling me stuff he'd never done before. Do you know what I mean? How can you teach kids when you haven't done it before?
Yeah.
That's like when I went to Vietnam, I saw like this thing here before. I was teaching at Camp Pendleton, and I said, I wanted to know who was the best pilot, the best gunship pilot. His name was Captain Forrester. And so I was at Camp Pendleton, California, and I sought Captain Forrester out. I said, Captain Forrester, teach me. And he taught me stuff they don't teach you in flight school: how to stay alive, how to fight, how to gun, how to hit trees. And so you always want to seek the best teacher. And I still do the same thing today. I still seek the best teacher.
Now, Robert Kiyosaki, one thing I notice a lot, and Dr. Z, I'm sure you've seen it a lot. I meet people all the time that come into my life and they say, I've got 400,000 followers on Twitter. And I go, well, that's incredible. That's actually more than I have. It's incredible. Thank you. And they'll say, and so here's the thing. I don't actually have any money. And I hear that all the time. They go, I'm on TikTok. I got 1 million followers on TikTok. It happens. I mean, at every business conference I've done, and I have spoken at business conferences for now 20 years doing this. And when people will show up, and they do it all the time, and it's becoming increasingly normal for somebody who's a beautiful looking man or woman, and they'll come to me and they'll say, I've got 170,000 followers on X. I'm a kind of a big deal on Instagram. I just don't have any actual customers. And they're constantly feeding the beast, making videos, making viral videos about how to get rich. And then the videos keep getting shorter because, the shorts get more views, right? So now they're doing like 14-second videos where they go, sit up, and they're adding music to it, and the videos are getting dumber and shorter, and they're getting more viral, and they're making less money, and they're spending more of their time making these videos. Robert Kiyosaki, what do you say about the world of charlatanism that we live in, where all these fake influencers who keep making increasingly shorter and dumber videos? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think YouTube is a tremendous educational platform for good and bad. So you've got to really, again, choose your teachers wisely, as anything else. So the best lesson sits in the back here, and I think you do it and Dr. Z does it. Once you learn something, if you really want to learn it, you got to teach it. Teaching is one of the highest gifts you can give yourself. But like when I meet people like you, Clay, I was at the gym yesterday, and these young guys come up to me and say, thank you, you changed my life. That's the biggest juice there is.
Yeah.
You know, when you get back what you've learned, you've actually earned it then.
Mm.
So I created the board game so that once you learn the game, then you can teach others. And that's how we change the world.
Now,
People is better than going to school.
Now, I'm going to pull this up real quick so our listeners can see this. The website here, richdad.com, that's where you can purchase the board game. Sir, is there a better place you want to direct people to? Where's the best place to buy the cash flow board game? Where can we go there, sir?
Well, it's on the Rich Dad website, you know, just I don't do that. So my company does all
No
that.
problem. I'm
stuff.
going there right now. I'm making it easy. I'll put a link on the show notes, richdad.com. See, I'm clicking on the store button here. I'm clicking, I'm pushing through carpal tunnel. I'm clicking on the products button. I'm scrolling down. I'm pushing. Now I'm going to stay on. Now I encourage everybody out there. Currington, this is what I'm asking. I'm asking everybody out there that doesn't hate themselves to go right now to richdad.com. If you hate yourself, don't worry about it. But if you don't hate yourself, go to richdad.com and you'll scroll under products, buy a copy of the physical game there. That's call to action number 1. Call to action number 2, there's this incredible podcast on YouTube called The Rich Dad Radio Show. I listen to this show everywhere I go, and I find myself listening to things like Octanon Verba, and it takes me like 7 times to get that concept through my cranium. And there's a lot of shows that are not the Rich Dad show, so you want to go to the official Rich Dad channel. There's a lot of people that want to be the Rich Dad channel, but they're not. So you go up here to YouTube, you got to find, I'll put a link on the show notes as well. You need to subscribe. Now, again, see, this only applies to people that don't hate themselves. So 1, buy a copy of the book. 2, or the copy of the board game. 2, subscribe on YouTube. And then 3, as of right now, we have 38 tickets left for the in-person workshop coming up here March 6th and 7th. And the way it's going to go is we're going to do a 90-minute Q&A session with Robert Kiyosaki and a 90-minute session with Eric Trump. And so a lot of conferences, people talk at you. This will be different because it's the Q&A format. It's the Q&A format. So see, just to kind of
saying if I get a ticket and I show up,
yes,
I can ask Special K a question.
Any question that you want, and it's going to be a great environment. It'll be about 300 people here, so it's going to be very interactive. We have scholarship tickets available to make it affordable for everybody. So, see, just to demonstrate the power of the Q&A here, in the final 5 minutes, we have Robert Kiyosaki. I'm going to give you the opportunity, sir, to ask your final Q, and then he can provide an A. And then, Steve, you have a question as well. So, Robert Zellner, Dr. Zellner, what question would you have for Robert Kiyosaki?
You know, I love board games growing up. What was your favorite board game growing up, Robert Kiyosaki?
Monopoly or greenhouses.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. This is going deep. If you could own any color group on the board, think about this. Any color group on the board, which one gave you the best return? Let's see how much you know Monopoly.
Asking me?
Yes, he's asking you, sir.
The green ones.
Oh.
Okay, now you're 2 fellow board gamers. So somebody out there who's a big Monopoly fan, that resonated.
Here's the one that I did. With the math, the dice, the orange were always the best.
Really?
Is that right?
The orange were always the best. The houses were cheaper, you better return, and more likely for people to land on them. I'm just telling you, orange is where it's at.
What I'm going to do at this VIP dinner is I'm going to make sure there's a room sectioned off so you two can get into Monopoly and really have that debate.
Well, that's my secret sauce. I just gave away my secret sauce to the game. I'm going to be, you know, I shouldn't have said that.
Now, Steve Currington, final question. What question would you have for Robert Kiyosaki, sir?
Are you still flying? Do you ever get up in the left seat of that Lear 60? Or
no. It's a thing called it's proficiency. You lose your touch really quickly.
Yep.
So it's best I let somebody who's flying every day. So I sit in the back.
Now, Robert Kiyosaki, I'm going to pull this up real quick because I want our listeners to see this again here. On Amazon, you wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And most people know you because of that book. That book is an incredible book. I encourage everybody to buy a copy of that book. Also, you wrote the Rich Dad Guide to Investing. I mean, that thing is so hot. That book, I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't picked up that book, Rich Dad Guide to Investing, that book is great. The book you wrote with Donald J. Trump, Why We Want You to Become Rich. I don't know if people know about these books. I think some of our listeners do. Some of them don't. I'm telling you, if you're saying, hey, listen, It's January and you want to get a head start on next year's Christmas presents, pick up these books, get a copy of the board game. Robert Kiyosaki, I'm going to give you the final word, sir. Final 60 seconds. What say you, sir?
I like what Maria Montessori, she was a great educational entrepreneur. She says, what the hand does, the mind remembers. So in other words, you want to play golf, you better pick up a golf club. And the reason the board game is so powerful is you have to use all four intelligence: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. That's how we learn the best. And then you go to real life.
Robert Kiyosaki, thank you so much, sir. I really do appreciate you investing your most important asset with us, which is your time. Thank you so much, sir. Are you looking to start or grow a super successful business? Join Eric Trump, the New York Times bestselling author of The Carnivore Diet, Sean Baker. Join hundreds of real business owner client success stories at the highest rated business conference in America. Join Mel K, Julie Green, Amanda Grace, Pastor Dave Scarlett, and myself in Tulsa, Oklahoma, November 5th and 6th. Attend the most real, the most authentic, the highest rated, and most reviewed Ultimate Business Growth Workshop. During this 2-day interactive business workshop, you're going to learn everything you need to know to make your business grow. Learn how to generate more sales. Learn how to produce additional high-quality inbound leads. Learn how to create repeatable systems. Learn how to build a successful business. And learn how to do it now. If you've ever wanted to learn how to start and grow a super successful company, this is the event for you. At our 2-day interactive business workshop, we will teach you specifically every step that you need to take to start and grow a super successful company. We will teach you specifically how to get to the top of the Google search engine results, how to dominate artificial intelligence search results, how to market via social media, how to generate more leads, and how to get in front of your ideal and likely buyers. We're going to teach you the step-by-step processes that you need to learn in order to hire, inspire, train, and retain high-quality employees and teammates. We're going to teach you specifically what you need to learn to manage a team of people. We're going to teach you how to manage your finances, how to look at the numbers, and to figure out the specific steps that you need to take to create a time freedom and financial freedom producing business. At the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, we've been teaching entrepreneurs everything they need to know to start and grow a successful company since 2005. In fact, at our 2-day interactive business workshops, we're going to teach you marketing, systems and scaling, human resources, accounting, social media marketing, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and so much more. You can learn more and request tickets today simply by going to thrivetimeshow.com. Yes, you can request tickets today simply by going to thrivetimeshow.com. That's the website. Join Eric Trump, myself, and Team America live and in person at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, November 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrivetime, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement.
Okay, Aaron Antis, November 5th and 6th. Guess who's coming back to Tulsa? I will give you a hint. His first name is Eric, and his last name is Trump. Whoa. And his father is the 47th president of these United States. Yes, Eric Trump is joining us once again here September 25th and 26th in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. But Eric Trump is bringing friends. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Grace will be in the place. Dr. Stella Emanuel will be here in T-Town in Tulsa. Oklahoma. Julie Green will be on the scene. Mel K will be here to say hey. Dave Scarlett from the His Glory team will be here. It's going to be a blasty blast right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you want to start or grow a super successful company, if you want to make your wallet great again or make your wallet great for the first time, if you want to learn marketing, systems, scaling, human resources, accounting, social media, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and more, get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side. Play is hilarious. I literally laughed so hard that I started having tears yesterday. And we've been learning a lot, which, you know, we've been sitting here, we've been learning a lot, and so the humor definitely helps. It breaks it up. But the content is awesome, off the charts, and it's very interactive. You can raise your hand. It's not like you're just listening to the professor speak, you know. The wizard teaches, but the wizard interacts and he takes questions, so that's awesome. If you're not attending the conference, you're missing about 3/4 to half of your life. You're definitely, it's probably worth a couple $1,000s. So you're missing the thought process of someone that's already started like 9 profitable businesses. So not only is it a lot of good information, but just getting in the thought.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Well, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States, he needed a competent man to run and execute his business plans. Showtime! So the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint. Right. I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last, pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that, is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had
718 people. 718 people.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. In anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, oh, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. I mean, there's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
You know, I should write that down and I can do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. I should. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet.
I was looking to learn how to take my business, like they've said today, from being very successful to being systematic. I've got a very successful practice in 3 different cities, make good money. Just want to take it to the next level with systems and processes to where I can drive my cars more.
Paul Hood.
I've been a CPA for 33 years.
And what kind of growth have you and your great team had here over the past, let's say, 5-6 years?
The last 5, when I met you 5 years ago, we were doing 3 million. This year we'll do 24 million.
Whoa. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And if someone says, I want more, this is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma. And nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in the, it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns the what do you call that? The rental,
storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Thomas Crossan, owner and founder of Full Package Media in Dallas, Texas. I've been a coaching client with Clay Clark since the beginning of our business. We started about a year ago, August of last year. I had no clients, no idea what we were doing, no clue really what was going on. And now we've grown to where we've got 6 photographers, we've got office space here. I have an admin, sales person that works for us full time, developing an online system, and a lot of that growth we attribute to Clay helping us. And there's so many things that no, I mean, his stuff is not, revolutionary. It's not this crazy walk on hot coals and all this stuff. It's just real stuff.
It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you, this will be 10 times better than that.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life changing. It is life changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right. Really. So if you're looking to have life changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. What kind of growth have you had since you and I have been working together over these past few years?
3.45 million. I got those stats before I got on here.
So you've grown by 3.45 million.
Yeah, 3,450,000.
Would that be like if you took the combined revenue, maybe doubled it? Have we gone up by
about almost 3, not quite.
Whoa.